Hey everyone, and welcome back to Mission 1820 and this week's episode of Have You Ever Wondered? This is a weekly series where we answer a common biblical question in just 5 minutes or less. So without further ado, let's get to this week's question. Have you ever wondered what was Paul's thorn in the flesh that he describes for us in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 7? Now in this verse, Paul tells us, "And lest I should be exalted above measure by the abundance of the revelations, a thorn in the flesh was given to me, a messenger of Satan to buffet me." Now, whatever this thorn was, it had the purpose of tormenting Paul, which could have been a spiritual thorn, physical, emotional, or even something that we couldn't even wrap our heads around. The reality of it is that the Bible doesn't answer this question with any real clarity or satisfaction for us. Now, even though we don't know what the thorn actually was, we do know of the purpose regarding Paul's thorn in the flesh. And that was God had a goal with this thorn in keeping Paul humble. Could it be possible that during his ministry that Paul had become so puffed up and filled with ego that God allowed the thorn to afflict Paul? Well, in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 11, Paul says, "I have become a fool in boasting. You have compelled me." Did God allow Satan to play a part in his redemptive plan to keep Paul from succumbing to pride? Well, Paul did ask God 3 times to remove this thorn from his flesh, but he wouldn't do that because God was more concerned with building Paul's character and preventing pride than he was in removing the pain from Paul's thorn. So, instead of removing this thorn, God said to Paul in verse 9, "My grace is sufficient for you. My strength is made perfect in weakness." We know that God allows thorns in our lives in order to keep us humble while we're serving him. And while we don't know the exact nature of Paul's thorn, we can glean from the passage that God felt it necessary. Now, the ambiguity of the thorn in the flesh may actually be a positive thing for us, because if Paul would have specifically stated what that thorn was, it's possible that believers from the following generations may have discarded his experience if it were not afflicted with the same type of affliction. The existence of illness or suffering in a believer's life does not necessarily constitute a sinful life or even a life that lacks faith. Paul pleaded with God on 3 separate occasions for him to remove the thorn. Yet God said that his grace was enough for the apostle, and his power is made perfect in Paul's weakness. So hopefully this helped you understand just a little bit better about what Paul's thorn in the flesh was. So God bless, and thanks for watching.